Welcome to this webinar on getting your anger under control. This webinar is for you if you want to change and take responsibility for your anger. If you know that you get angry easily, or when your anger is explosive and out of control. I don't want you to waste your time and continue to watch if you believe that it's everyone else's problem or their fault. That you don't have an issue. That you believe that because it's not too frequent or not too severe, it's not a big deal. You strongly believe that no matter what, you will not change. You believe that other people have to make the better effort to not annoy you. And if you think that your actions are justified and other people deserve what is coming to them. If you strongly believe that this is just who you are and that no matter what, you think that the way you express your anger is your right. And of course, if you have a psychiatric condition and require professional support to address your symptoms by a medical or allied health practitioner. So here are some symptoms of impulsive anger. Poor sleep, a loss of control over emotions, a negative view of self, feeling ashamed, weak, or out of control, low confidence and self-esteem, problems with authorities, problems in intimate relationships, increased risk of suicide and self-harm. While you know what anger means to you, it's worth looking at it together to see where exactly the problem lies. Of course, the focus of this webinar is in managing impulsive anger, so we need to take a look at impulsivity and how it makes our life just a little bit challenging. So we all get angry, and we know how our body reacts when we're activated. We know exactly what you do when you get angry, and you might recognize some of the thoughts that you were experiencing when you were angry. So your body, how does it change? Do you notice that your muscles are a bit more tense? That you feel hot? Your breathing gets faster? Do you shout, scream, push, or try to remove yourself from the situation? What are your thoughts in this moment? Often, people say that they can't think straight or they don't know what they are thinking. They say that they are simply just feeling angry. But often, you know what it is. Anger is an emotional response to a threat, injustice, hurt, or frustration. Anger is an emotion that all of us are familiar with. In fact, it is one of the 6 universal emotions, including enjoyment or joy, sadness, disgust, surprise, and fear, experienced by all people in all cultures. Early research by Paul Ekman showed that the facial expressions of anger is universal. I can ask a 5-year-old child to show me his or her angry face, and they would be able to pull his eyebrows together and tighten the muscles of their jaw. Recently, Paul Ekman has released an atlas of emotions, and in his version, he considers other states of anger. When we talk about anger, we talk about 50 different shades of anger, from annoyance to fury, in different intensities, with different reactions to triggers. He noted annoyance, frustration, exacerbation, argumentativeness, bitterness, vengefulness, and fury. So, whilst we say anger, we actually can mean a number of different emotions. What do we need to manage or control in order to not get ourselves in trouble? Hostility, the belief that other people are threatening and the world is unjust. Bitterness, dwelling over hostile thoughts over a specific person or event. Aggression. This is a behavior that can cause physical or emotional damage to protect us from future harm. Isn't it interesting that while behavior is aimed to protect us, it is at the same time so damaging to others and ourselves? So whenever someone says that a person has an anger management issue, they actually refer to aggression management because that is what people can see as a problem. Animals show aggression to protect themselves, to maintain hierarchy in the community, in a struggle for food or females. Anthropologists, biologists, and psychologists note the different behaviors and patterns of aggression when defending yourself versus when planning an attack, from mothers defending their infants and from predators chasing prey, in fear-induced aggression, in sex-related aggression, and in territorial aggression. But as human beings, we have evolved to cooperate more than to fight, to be at peace more than at war, to take care and to create rather than destroy. So aggression is complex, and we need to be careful. Anger. Anger too can be considered along an adaptive-maladaptive continuum. At low levels, it may serve to strengthen attachments and friendships by communicating needed adjustments or signaling violations of personal rights. For example, you can communicate to your friend how you want to be treated and what is important to you, and this is an opportunity to eliminate any frustrations or annoyance. However, moderately intense, frequent, or prolonged anger tends to disrupt or even to sever social relationships. We may break items, scream, shout at people, and cause them harm in other ways. Here are some of the examples of how we can sabotage our careers. We can come to work late without permission, make fun of someone at work. You can find yourself daydreaming rather than doing your job. You can behave rudely to a client or coworker, refuse to assist a colleague, blame someone else for a mistake you made, try to look busy while doing nothing, taking a longer break than you were entitled to, avoided returning a phone call to someone at work, intentionally wasting supplies, stolen something that belongs to a coworker, hit or push someone. You might have a number of beliefs that make it easier for you to get and stay angry. You might have a number of shoulds and musts. For example, people must be polite. No one should criticize me. I should get everything immediately. I can't accept no. People shall not reject me. Rules aren't for me. I am a God-given gift to humanity. How dare anyone not accept or appreciate me? Other factors could include your living conditions, if it's crowded, or if you don't have any place for yourself, or your economic status, like being poor or having debt. Low frustration tolerance happens when you get frustrated easily. High frustration tolerance refers to situations when you can tolerate discomfort while waiting for what you want. For example, you remind yourself that while you really want to get somewhere quickly, it is what it is and you can't beat the traffic, so there's no point getting stressed about it. You will not be able to get to a meeting earlier by screaming at other drivers. When you vent, you let out your feeling of anger and get things off your chest. It is often explosive and can be aggressive. Initially, you might feel relief, but soon after, you feel ashamed, out of control, and sad. While initially it was considered to be helpful for people to get their anger out, this has changed. Later research has showed that it actually increases the chance of future angry outbursts. Rumination refers to thinking deeply about something, dwelling, not being able to stop, or to move away from unhealthy, repeated thinking. From time to time, the majority of us ruminate. The problem arises when we are overly focused on a particular angry memory. Memories of injustice, thoughts of vengeance and revenge. Engaging in rumination might increase adrenaline and cortisol release as a part of the flight or fight activation. Because your brain reacts not only to an actual stressor, but to perceive one as well, remembering unjust memories will produce the same result. What you need to do is to catch yourself from time to time when you engage in rumination and redirect your attention somewhere else. Do not entertain such thoughts for a prolonged period of time. It just won't be helpful. Here is what not to do. Don't try to suppress or make yourself stop thinking about something. You can't order yourself not to think about something. For example, if you eat ice cream, think about your favorite flavor. Bring back the memory of eating ice cream on a hot summer's day. How you bite into it, how it melts in your mouth, how nice and delicious it is. And now stop immediately. It's really, really hard. This is why it's far better to allow yourself to redirect your attention to something else. I would like you to start thinking about numbers or to try solve a puzzle or mathematic equation. Even something simple like 2 plus 9 plus 11 plus 13 minus 25. Then times it by 2. Add another 60 minus 73. Just keep on going. Something like a Sudoku puzzle, anything that will hold your attention for long enough. And trust me, while you perform activities that require such concentration, you simply can't engage in unhelpful rumination at the same time. You can help yourself by asking the following questions. Right now, I'm ruminating about how my boss was so unfair to me during the last review. Is it helpful? Does it really matter? Would it matter in 2 years? What else makes this rumination worse? Is it possible I didn't get all the facts right? Am I jumping to conclusions? Do I really have to do it right now? Can I think about it tomorrow? So, you might remember earlier that we spoke about frustration tolerance, and that this is when you are able to tolerate discomfort or distress. If you can't wait at all, it means that you have short tolerance for frustration, and that if you can, it means that you have high frustration tolerance. You might be familiar with a marshmallow test. In this test, a single marshmallow is placed in front of a child, and the child is told that if they can wait for 15 minutes, they would get 2 marshmallows at the end, or they could eat their single one any time. This was all about delayed gratification. Some children were able to wait and got the 2 marshmallows. Others weren't able to. On the first follow-up study of this, kids who were able to wait scored as more competent than those who didn't. Impulsivity, or difficulty controlling behavior and resisting urges, can be a feature of some disruptive, impulse control, and conduct disorders. Impulsive behaviors are spontaneous, unplanned, reckless, and potentially dangerous. Some of the examples of dysfunctional impulsivity in the general population are lower academic grades, higher aggression and violence, impulsive shopping, risky driving behaviors, stealing, weight gain and obesity, increased risky behaviors, suicide attempts, and self-injury. Using personality trait theory to derive a measure of impulsivity. Whiteside and Lynham found support for a 4-factor model of impulsive personality traits. These are negative urgency, defined as the tendency to act rashly when experiencing a negative affect. Lack of premeditation, which is conceptually similar to non-planning impulsivity. Lack of perseverance, or a tendency to abandon goal-directed behaviors, and sensation-seeking. Defined as a preference for intense, novel, or risky experiences. So, how does our impulsivity impact on our anger or aggression? There have been identified 2 types of aggression: impulsive and premeditated. Aggression is any form of behavior manifested by an individual which usually tends to cause pain, suffering, or damage to another person. The development of aggressive behavior in adolescence is often considered as the result of many factors such as hyperactivity, impulsivity, poor social problem-solving skills, low self-esteem, low frustration tolerance, harsh parenting, and exposure to media violence. Frustrations have always been inevitable in the human life. It occurs in situations where a person is blocked from reaching a desired outcome and serves as a primary or precipitating factor in initiation of aggressive behaviors. It is an inability to tolerate frustration, which leads to mental breakdown, maladjustment, and problems in interpersonal relationships, and produces hostile anger. The human capacity to exert self-control is unarguably one of the most powerful and beneficial mechanisms that led to the adaptation of the human psyche to its ever-changing environment. In humans, aggressive behavior has seemed to exponentially increase in the last few decades. According to the World Health Organization, the number of fatal victims in interpersonal conflict in 2002 is almost twice the number of war victims. More recent reports showed that at least 700,000 people die each year as victims of aggressive assault. So let's talk about road rage. Because it isn't about the road, it's about the rage. High anger drivers have the following characteristics. They're highly judgmental of other people's driving. They have contempt for how others drive. They have more vengeful thoughts about other drivers. They take more risks while driving. Speeding, switching lanes, tailgating, or running yellow lights. They experience anger on a daily basis. They're more likely to get in the car already angry. They tend to express their anger outwardly, yelling, honking, finger pointing, or tailgating. They have less control of their emotions in general. They tend to react impulsively when frustrated. People who are vulnerable to suicide behaviors and self-harm are often impulsive. In the moment when you feel overwhelmed with painful memories or thoughts, when you feel hopeless and you don't see how things could get better. If you have a very poor ability to tolerate such distress, or if you don't have well-developed coping and self-soothing skills, and you are impulsive, you are more likely to be at risk. If you know this about yourself, please seek help. If you feel completely overwhelmed, please call 000 or Lifeline. When we are trying to get better, we need to persevere through discomfort. We need to have a plan when it feels horrible, when we don't want to give up. We need to help ourselves. If we are not well prepared, don't have a plan, we can't cope with our triggers and negative mood. We are more likely to relapse. So, not only is it important for you to manage your anger well, it is essential to learn to manage your impulsivity. If you don't manage your impulsivity at the same time as your anger, you are more likely to place your relationships, career, relations, and health at risk. So whether you acknowledge it or not, impulsivity sabotages your progress and makes it harder for you to be in control of your behavior. So let's take a look at 8 quick essential tips on fixing this anger issue. You need to start paying attention to the early warning signs of your anger. You need to be aware of the challenges in your body, in your thinking, and in your behavior. Sometimes we simply lie to ourselves, saying that we are not angry. So pay attention to the early warning signs and don't ignore them. You really just snap. Pay attention and intervene early before you reach fury or rage. Know your triggers. You need to know what sets you off. For many of us, it can be as simple as stress. The more we get overworked and stretched out, the more likely we are going to get a bit impatient. Know the enemy. Drugs and alcohol, lack of sleep, or living conditions can all affect your anger. Before you do anything, ask yourself if this will help you at all. Even pausing and asking yourself this question can help you to respond rather than react in response to a trigger. Remove yourself from the situation and try some calming techniques like mindfulness, breathing, or visualization. It is important that you check with yourself throughout the day on how you're feeling, what you experience, and what thoughts you have to maintain this emotional balance. You can choose to change. You can learn, and you can decide for your future. You can try again and plan to succeed. And finally, be in control of your behavior at all times. Achieve and maintain the relationships you want. Be fit, healthy, and successful. Feel strong and confident and proud. Give up your unhealthy thinking patterns. Think about how your life is going to be different. Think about how it'll be better. No more feeling ashamed and regret behaving stupidly. Feel strong, proud, and in control. Stop torturing yourself emotionally. Think about your social and intimate relationships. Imagine being in a loving relationship that you truly deserve. Can you imagine all the possibilities when you feel that you are always in control of yourself and how you react to negative events and triggers, urges, or impulses? No more emotional roller coaster, you are always in control. Thank you for being with us today. Please come visit us at impulsivity.com.au. We look forward to seeing you there.